Hello everybody, this week I want to introduce a new platform for AgroPlus customers. This is OneSoil. OneSoil is a technology platform developed to make the most of your input costs by increasing efficiency on inputs by using VR technology. The whole idea of VR seeding and fertilizing is concentrating inputs on the field areas that will be more responsive while reducing inputs on areas of poor yield. But this system is useful for more than just VR. It's also a great diagnostic tool for imagery and weather, and the software is available for all smartphones and tablets as well. So where do you begin first? Well, your first step is going to be to contact your AgroPlus staff member of choice and ask to be added to the software program, and an invite will be sent to you through email to help you set up your farm. Now, once you've logged in, it's time to get your farm set up. And there's 3 ways to add new fields. You can select a field on the map and allow the program to automatically select borders. So we would do that like this. Now you can see it's going to highlight and cut around what it thinks are the proper areas of the field, but you can see it's not always exact, so it might work on some fields but not others. So we'll add this one in. We'll say this is canola. Save. The other way is to draw a field in manually. So let's pick this pivot right here. If you want to get your borders really nice and precise, this is a good way to do it. Okay, so that one is mapped. And the final way is to upload files. If you have shape files from your equipment or from some other source such as Farmer's Edge, you can upload those here. That's probably the most precise way to do it if you already have those files on hand. Once you have your fields mapped, the next thing you can do is add in irrelevant field data. So you can go over here to the left, hit field data, you can upload files. So this would be harvest files, stuff like that, yield maps off the combine, anything like that you can upload is really going to help to increase the accuracy of the VR systems that we'll see later on here. Now you can see once we have some fields entered in here, it's displaying the most recent NDVI image of those fields. You can also change this filter to be contrasted NDVI to give you a little bit more contrast on there, really see what's going on. You can pretty clearly see the pivot area here, even October 28th versus the dryland shows up pretty well. So you can also go in and select each individual field and pull up data from it. Let's go back to 2022. We'll go to, say, July, and you can pull up the imagery from back then. It might take it a little while to process, but in this case it has pulled it up here pretty quick. I just mapped a couple fields in the 2022 season to show you some of the weather data. So for this, we'll go into weather, select a field here, and once we add in a crop and seeding dates, then we can really kind of see exactly what happened in this field for that day. So we'll end up, let's see here, 2022, say May 12th, and harvest date of August 31st. How's that sound? We'll say that was 60 bushels to the acre. Save. Now it's going to calculate out that NDVI curve, so you can see that really it started about May 23rd, started to show up, and you can see a nice increase in the line here, going along with the precipitation curve. You can see as well. You can see we probably headed out somewhere around here. A little bit of a dip down here for one reason or another. This could have even been canola, and this could have been when it was really flowering strong, so that you'll usually see a little bit of a dip in the NDVI values when that happens, and then you can see as it ripened and matured down, that NDVI curve goes down. Another interesting thing you can do with the imagery here is when you have a field selected, you can hit this tab over here to compare NDVI images. And then we can pull up multiple dates here from last year. So we'll compare August 26th to, say, July something here, 17th. And you can kind of see those images side by side. You can also do it as a slider, so you can move that back and forth. This would be helpful for looking at imagery week to week, especially earlier in the season. If you wanted to scout for, say, cutworm damage, something like that, you can pull up one week beside the other, and or use the slider to see if any red spots are appearing in there. So far, that's a pretty brief overview of the free features of OneSoil. Up till this point, pretty much all this stuff that you've seen here so far is completely free to use with an invitation from AgroPlus. But if you do want to generate VR maps, you have to come over to this tab right here. And this is going to take you to a little bit of a different web page. And this is going to allow you to process your fields. Now, right now, you can see these fields here are unprocessed. Processing them does take a few hours to do, technically up to 4, but generally it's done a little faster than that. And this does incur a charge per acre for each field. However, that fee will cover you to produce as many VR maps for that year as you want to produce. So right now, AgroPlus is having a special introductory offer. So talk to your favorite person at AgroPlus and find out more information on that. Alright, so now all of our processing is done. It took about a half hour in this case, so you can see we've got a few fields here. Now, everybody always wants to see the irrigated field, so we'll check this one out here first, field number 1. So now you can see that it's gone back, it's managed to pull up satellite imagery from a couple of years, and it's showing an average productivity map. Obviously, the pivot area is greener than the dryland area. So if we want to create VR maps to have different fertilizer rates for the edges, it should be relatively simple to do. Now you can see down at the bottom here we have the productivity map versus the soil brightness map, which is basically kind of a compilation of straw and human content. And then we have a relief map, which is showing elevation. So we can come up here now and we can select fertilizer application based on productivity map, which would be this guy here. So we'll see how it looks. So now you can see we have the ability to start changing these rates here. So let's say we're going to do barley. We'll say ESMA, input name. Let's say we'll do a urea map here. It doesn't matter what product you do, whether it's a cropping product, a seeding product, or a fertilizer product, all these maps are generated the exact same way. So let's say this is barley. We're going to have our standard rates. We'll say 150 pounds. You can do 3 zones, 5 zones, or 7 zones, depending on how granular you want to get with your data. We'll just do 3 to kind of keep things simple here. Now, in your high production zone, you can change this rate to be, say, 200. In your low productivity zone, your dry land and your corners and such, you can change this down to, say, 100 pounds of urea. Now, if you're not super happy with how the zones look, the next step would be to manually edit these zones. So we can go into this spot right up here and edit zones. Now it's going to pull up a productivity map beside, so you can kind of see really what's going on. And now we can change our brush size to whatever we want it to be. We'll go up to, say, 50 meters. We'll go to low productivity zone. Say you want to take these spots out here and just have all this be in the low productivity zone. You don't have to worry about going outside the borders. Once you release it, it's going to trim it back down to that border. That's probably the shadow of some trees there has created that little bit. You know, say you want to trim up your pivot corners a little bit. This is a good way to do it. We can also say we want to change all this back into a high productivity zone, so on and so forth. If there's a spot in the field that you want to completely take out, you can do that here as well. Say you've got a spot in the field that you know is going to be a slough this year, say like this little spot right here on the productivity map, and you're going to be seeding around that. Well, maybe we'll just take that spot right out. So that's how that is done. So that's easy enough. So we'll hit save. So now this map is ready to save and export as is, or you can also put trials in it. So for that, you go over to this trials button. We'll select 2 trial strips. You can change your equipment direction here. You can see the lines in the map are kind of moving as I change things here. You can change the width of the control strips. This is in meters, but we can change it to, say, 50 meters. It should be roughly, say, 150 foot wide. We're back to 100. You can have them go perpendicular to your seeding direction or parallel, depends on what you prefer. Now what this is going to do is it's basically going to create automatic trial plots in your field to basically prove that the system is working. So it's going to put that high rate in the low production area, the average rate in the low production area, low rate in the highest production area, so on and so forth. It's going to automatically tag and map those spots. So at the end of the season, when you get your yield map from your combine and you upload it into this system, it is going to run an analysis on these spots, and it's going to pretty much show you and prove to you that it is working. So that is really interesting, and it also brings up the possibility of doing some really interesting fertilizer trials, which would be really fun to work with customers on. So we are very much looking forward to this feature. So we're going to hit save here now. So now we have that field saved. It is sitting here in that field. So you can, at any time you can go in through field reports to VRA maps and trials. Now we have that map made. So now if we want to export that, we can download that map. So you can connect directly with your John Deere Operations Center to import it directly to your equipment, or you can download it as a variety of different shape files, KMLs, and ISO. I believe case would be the ISO XML. Okay, so if we go to field 49 here, we'll see this is a dryland field. There's no pivot on this one here, and you can see it's got pretty good information going back to 2017 on it. So it's compiled all of these in-season NDVI imagery down into one average productivity map that it'll use to make the zoning. You can see down here we've once again got those 3 maps, including the relief map of the elevation. You can see the elevation map kind of does correspond to some of the poorest areas in the field, are those highest spots here. So now we'll do a seeding map on this one. So we'll change this to pounds per acre. We'll do ESMA barley once again. Standard rate, we'll say 100 pounds to the acre. Highest best producing area we'll do 120. Lowest we'll do 80. So now we got our worst areas of the field, average, highest areas here. You can once again you can go in, edit those zones, change exactly to how you think you want to do it. We can add in trials. In this one we can just add in a single strip trial. So now this is just going to check that average rate against the highest production area and the lowest production area. So that looks good. So we'll hit save. So now there's our seeding map, and everything's looking good. You can go in here and you can download that map directly to your equipment or not, or choose to delete it. So looks very interesting. I can definitely see quite a bit of possibilities for this system in the future. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this quick tutorial on how the system works, and we look forward to getting you set up in this. We do have an introductory trial offer for AgroPlus customers, so contact your representative today and we'll get you invited to this system, and if you require help getting your field set up, we'll help you with that as best as you can. So with that, I'll let you get to it. Have a good week, and we'll see you later.